Hello everybody, it's Bubba Rob. How's it going? I'm not in the car today. My son took the car. So I'm out in the old dump truck. How's everybody doing? Awesome. Awesome, I hope. Yeah, I'm out here overlooking the ocean again and watching some people they're paddle boarding. Geez, they're quite far out and it's kind of choppy today. I don't know as if I'd be doing that. I got enough on my body, I'd probably just float. Kick and float right back to shore. Anyways, I got a topic today. Ready? It's about reality. It's actually about online friendships. Okay. Well, I don't know as if it's really a stoic thing to talk about. It's definitely an important issue with mental health, what's going on in today's society. And what brought it up is I was having a chat last week with a lady who's a public health nurse. And we started having a chat about what was going on in society and stuff like that. And I asked her, I said, what was the biggest concern for her or is facing the public health? She said mental health. And she was talking about people with perceiving friendships from online communications and reaching out. And I said, oh boy, that's a big one. Isn't it? It sure is, actually. Like, I know myself, I've met some people online. I've actually met in person, some good people, not so good people, right? But the one thing I think people really need to be careful with is how much of their story they're telling to people because they're needy. That's not necessarily a good thing, right? I don't know how tight a friendship or a connection can be till you've actually seen the whites of their eyes. Touch them, give them a handshake, a hug, or anything like that. People can tell you whatever they want to tell you. I hopefully most people are honest, but either they're too honest or they're not honest enough because they're searching for somebody that they can get something out of, right? Whatever their needs are. And normally, I would think, I could be wrong. I'm not saying there isn't, people are trying to establish communities for support out there, which they do. And it's kind of like what I'm doing here, trying to do with this channel, is I want people to take care of themselves. But, God, I lost my train of thought. But you really got to be careful. I find that, how would I say this without being offensive? And I honestly don't want to trigger people. It's not what this is about. But I'm finding, really, you really got to be careful. I don't believe the reality of the online communication with people, and I've met some good people online and very few people that you stay in contact with, right? You just don't. People try and give you support, but they can't really support you. If you really need support, I think you really got to reach out to some form of community service or groups. I really believe that. There are those things out there, right? Just let's just say, let's use like a dating site, for example, right? feeling bummed out, kind of depressed, lonely. You put yourself out there. You're hopefully trying to find a nice person. What is the percentage of it where you even get a response? What is the percentage of it where somebody starts responding to you, then all of a sudden they say, oh, you're not my type? Or then there's some with a huge ego that say something very negative about, say, your appearance and stuff like that. You know, it's not nice. It's not good for people. It knocks people down. You know, some people get off on it because of their ego. I guess that's why it's kind of stoic, right? Because if your ego is so huge, you need to go online to pick on people to build yourself up. That is not a good character trait. That is not a proper human being. And that happens all the time, right? I'd say it's like, I don't know as if it's really bullying, but I would say it's definitely predatory behavior. And if you're on there also looking for sympathy to draw people in for you to tell your story, that's not necessarily right either. You know, you really need to go out there and get some help, right? You know, when I was doing the carnivore challenge, I'll never forget, I had a fella write me, and he wrote me and he says, Bubba Rob, I've left over, I think it was like 39 or 43 comments or something on my channel. And some of them were really quite personal, let's just say. Kind of disturbing, but fellow was definitely, looking for some help, right? I get it. I tried to be as decent as I could and try and, write back as quickly as I could to make sure that he was taking care of himself. So I was on this podcast, and before the podcast, you'd be talking before it starts, right? And I was telling him, I said, this guy wrote me. He said he's really upset that he put too much stuff on there about himself, and he can't figure out how to delete the messages. So anyways, one of the ladies said to me, she says, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to delete them. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, why can't I do that? That's the right thing to do. Oh, you can't do that because that's going to take away from your algorithm. That's his problem. That's not your. And I thought, oh, this was coming from a nurse. Oh, yeah, very caring nurse there. She's more concerned about the numbers of her YouTube, right? So after that podcast, I went to my channel and I deleted everything. I mean, what kind of human being would I be if I left that stuff up there? If the person found it disturbing, it's not good. And that was the end of it for me doing those podcasts with those people. I thought if I continued that relationship, I'd be somewhat of a hypocrite. That's not putting the good out. I mean, I couldn't give a red rat's ass if this channel ever earned money. I just want to put something out there where somebody can maybe see that they need some help, go get the proper help that's required from a professional, and have a better life. Maybe look at things different, maybe question things, right? That's all I really want. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. If I can put a little bit out there that helps somebody, and they can get on with their lives and get on with things and come back to reality, take care of their families and themselves. That's about it. Okay. Now that's the end of my chat. I hope it didn't go too all over the place, but probably did. That's okay. I am who I am. This is what I do. Okay. Remember, the most important thing to be a good person, good stoic, good human being, whatever your is, just be kind to yourself. Have some reality in what you're seeing. If you're having some issues, don't be afraid to reach out and take care of yourself. But make sure you reach out to the right people and the right entities. That's really important. Because there are people out there that will use it, and they will use you to their advantage, and that's not right. Okay? Love you all. Have a great day, and I hope I didn't trigger anybody. Awesome. Bye-bye.